Okay, so you know that feeling when everything seems fine, like boring but good fine? That quiet, harmless stretch of peace where nothing dramatic has happened for a while and you're just living? That's where I was, until he said it. He walked in, dropped his keys in the bowl, and smiled like he'd just seen someone win the lottery. Guess who I bumped into today? I looked up from my laptop, half distracted. I don't know your 6th grade gym teacher? He laughed. Angela. My fingers froze on the keyboard. I stared at him. Angela. That Angela. My brain immediately pulled up her face like it was saved in a trauma folder. Dark hair, bright red lipstick, always laughing too loud and touching his arm like she owned it. I hadn't seen her in years, but the memory of her came back like a bad smell. I forced a smile, even though I felt something cold roll through my chest. Oh? I said, like it was casual, like I wasn't mentally throwing chairs. Yeah, he said, shrugging like it was nothing. It was random. She was at the gas station. We just, caught up for a sec. Caught up, right. I wanted to ask what exactly they caught up on. Like, did he mention he's married now? That he has a wife at home who made his lunch this morning and folded his socks last night? But I didn't ask. I nodded, closed my laptop, told myself not to spiral. People bump into people, it's fine. Except it wasn't. Because over the next few days, something shifted. Not huge, not obvious, but I noticed. You always notice when you've lived with someone long enough. He started checking his phone more, like, obsessively. Every buzz made him flinch. He'd smile at his screen, then quickly flip it over when I walked in. And then the texting started. Late night texting. At first, I assumed it was his work group chat. His team was annoying like that, always pinging him at 11 p.m. for stuff that could wait till morning. But one night, I leaned over and saw the name flash across his screen. Angela. My stomach twisted. I didn't say anything. Again, because if I said something, I'd sound jealous, controlling, the crazy wife, and I didn't want to be that. But that little knot in my gut, it stayed. That weekend, we were watching a movie, something dumb, like an action sequel that didn't need to exist, and his phone buzzed 3 times. He picked it up, chuckled softly, and texted back with this little smile on his face. I paused the movie. Work? I asked, voice light, like I wasn't already fighting the urge to snatch the phone from his hand. He hesitated. Just a second, but long enough. No, it's just Angela. She sent something funny. Oh, funny. How nice. I pressed play and didn't say a word for the rest of the night. But inside, my brain was on fire. What was so funny? Why was he laughing like that? Why was she texting him late at night? And why was he responding? Wasn't she the same girl who ghosted him when he was at his lowest? The same girl who dumped him over a voice note and never looked back? He used to call her the biggest mistake of his life. And now he was smiling at her texts? The next morning, I checked his phone while he was in the shower. Yeah, I know. I hate that I did it. But something about his face the night before, it just pushed me over. They weren't talking about anything specific. Just random memes, inside jokes, stupid, remember when stuff? But there were a lot of messages. Like, a lot. And the worst part? He didn't once mention me. Not even a casual, my wife and I are. Nothing. It was like I didn't exist in that chat. I felt this weird mix of rage and heartbreak, like I couldn't decide if I wanted to cry or scream. I put the phone back. That night, I tried to bring it up gently. So you've been talking to Angela a lot lately. He paused mid-bite, like I'd asked him to recite the alphabet backward. I mean, not really, just here and there. It's no big deal. I nodded, chewing the inside of my cheek. Okay, just don't forget what she did to you. Back then, he looked at me like I was overreacting, like I was being dramatic. That was years ago. People change, right, but had he changed? Because the version of him I married wouldn't have been hiding messages from me, wouldn't have been defending her like that. A few days later, things got worse. It was 10:30 p.m. We were getting ready for bed when he suddenly grabbed his keys. Where are you going? I asked, confused. Just out for a drive. I need some air. Now, look, we all need a breather sometimes, but this wasn't normal for him. He was the guy who barely wanted to leave the house after dark, let alone go for a drive with zero context. Okay, want me to come with you? He shook his head, already halfway out the door. Nah, I'll be back soon. I sat on the couch in my pajamas watching the clock tick. I texted. No reply. 2:04 a.m. The door finally opened. He walked in like nothing happened. Calm, relaxed. You okay? I asked, voice trembling. Yeah, just needed time to think. About what? He looked annoyed. Just stuff. Work. Life. I don't know. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But I couldn't stop thinking about Angela. I couldn't stop imagining her in some car, crying fake tears, dragging him back into her orbit. The next day, I casually checked her Instagram story. She posted a picture of her dashboard, a blurry streetlight. Caption: sometimes the past shows up right when you need it. I felt physically sick. I showed it to him. You think that's about me? He scoffed. She probably has a dozen guys texting her. But were you with her? He rolled his eyes. I went for a drive, that's all. The thing is, when someone lies, they look away. But he didn't. He stared right at me like he believed what he was saying. Or he was just that good at pretending. I went quiet after that. I stopped asking questions. Stopped trying to decode every movement. Because if I kept pulling at the thread, I was scared the whole thing would unravel. But the distance between us, it was real now. He was present, but not here. Laughing at jokes I couldn't hear. Texting someone who knew exactly how to get in his head. I wasn't losing him. I'd already lost parts of him, bit by bit. And I kept wondering, if the roles were reversed, would he be okay with me texting an old ex? Would he be this calm? The answer was obvious. I knew it. He knew it. But the one thing I didn't understand, the one question I couldn't shake, was this. Why is he protecting her? It happened on a Tuesday night. I was halfway through folding laundry, the TV playing something in the background I wasn't even watching, when his phone rang. He picked it up fast, too fast. Like he didn't even need to check the caller ID, like he was expecting it. "Hello?" he said, already walking into the hallway. I paused, a t-shirt still in my hands. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught enough. "Wait, slow down, what happened? Are you serious?" "No, it's okay, I'm here. I'll come." I stood up. My heart started beating in that weird, heavy way, like it was trying to send a warning through my ribcage. He came back into the room a minute later, grabbing his keys off the counter. I asked, "Where are you going?" He didn't look me in the eye. "It's Angela," he said quietly. "She just called. She's a mess. Apparently her mom's really sick and she's freaking out." I blinked. And I'm just going to check on her. She said she didn't know who else to call. My mouth opened, but no words came out at first. Because what do you even say to that? What sentence makes a man stop choosing another woman over his own wife? "You're not going," I finally said, stepping in front of the door. "You're not doing this." He looked at me like I had lost my mind. "She's scared, okay? It's not like that. I just need to make sure she's okay." I wanted to scream, shake him, ask if he'd ever run out the door like that for me. Instead, I begged, "Please don't go. I'm serious. You can call someone for her. She has friends, family. You are not responsible for her." He just sighed like I was exhausting him. "I'm not going there to cheat." "God, why do you always assume the worst?" "Because I've seen the worst," I wanted to say. "I've watched it creep in through text messages and late-night drives, and stupid little smiles you try to hide from me." He brushed past me and opened the door. I followed him outside. "If you walk out right now, don't expect to come back like nothing happened." He turned to me. "I'm doing the right thing. I'm being a decent person. You should try it sometime." And then he left. No kiss. No explanation. Just gone. I stood there for a moment, staring at the door. Then I walked back inside, closed it, and locked it. Not in anger. In grief. It felt like watching someone walk out of your life holding a piece of you they didn't deserve. I sat on the kitchen floor that night, knees to my chest, trying to figure out how the hell I got here. I wasn't angry yet. Not really. That came later. At that moment, I was just empty. Like someone had reached inside and unplugged everything that used to keep me warm. He came back at 3 a.m. He banged on the door for a while, then gave up and slept in his car. I know because I saw him through the blinds, slumped in the driver's seat with his phone in his hand and no guilt on his face. The next morning I opened the door. He walked in, silent, no apology, no explanation, just marched straight to the bathroom like I was the one who messed up. "You didn't have to lock me out," he muttered later, pouring himself coffee. I stared at him. "That's what you're mad about?" He rolled his eyes. "You made a scene. It wasn't that serious." "Not that serious." "Right. I guess emotional betrayal doesn't count unless there's physical proof, right? Unless someone catches you mid-kiss or finds a hotel receipt. But to me, the second he chose her pain over my trust, something broke. And he didn't even notice. He spent the next few days pretending like everything was fine, watching TV, playing music, humming in the shower. Meanwhile, I was slowly coming undone. Every time my phone buzzed, I wondered if it was her. Every time he left the house, I wondered if he was going to see her again. I started checking her socials. I know, pathetic. But I couldn't help it. And then I saw it. 2 days after he left in the middle of the night, she posted a picture on her story. A table, 2 coffee mugs, and across from her, a man's shadow. You couldn't see his face, just a blurry outline. The caption? "Some things never change." I stared at the photo so long I could feel my pulse in my ears. I knew that coat. I knew it. It was his. That brown one he always wore when he didn't want to dress up, but still wanted to look decent. The one with the tiny tear on the cuff from when he caught it on a fence last winter. I stormed into the bedroom where he was half asleep scrolling his phone. "Was that you in her story?" He looked up, completely blank. "What?" "Angela. Her story. Coffee table, 2 mugs. Shadow wearing your coat." He frowned. "I haven't seen her since that night." "Then how come it looks exactly like you sitting across from her?" He shrugged. "A lot of people wear brown coats. You're reaching." He called me paranoid, jealous, said I was making something out of nothing. But the look in his eyes, that was guilt. That was fear of being found out. And I'd seen it before. I didn't argue. I just turned around and walked out of the room. That was the first night I didn't sleep in our bed. I stayed on the couch, scrolling through old photos, wondering where the man I married had gone. The silence between us stretched into days. He stopped trying to talk to me. I stopped trying to eat. I went to work, came home, showered, and repeated. The cycle like a ghost. And all I could think was, how did I become the side character in my own marriage? The woman on the couch while he played hero to his ex? Angela didn't need help. She needed attention. And he gave it to her willingly. But what we needed, he didn't even notice anymore. And I realized something. He wasn't protecting her because she needed it. He was protecting her because he wanted to. Because she made him feel something I couldn't anymore. Or maybe never did. That was the worst part. The feeling that I was just the stability he came home to. The boring routine. While she was the chaos that made him feel alive. I used to think locking him out would make a statement. But the truth? I'd already been locked out for weeks. From his thoughts, his heart, his loyalty. He wasn't mine anymore. Not really. And the hardest part to admit, I didn't know when I lost him. Maybe it started with a text, or a joke, or a stupid gas station run-in that turned into a memory lane joyride. But now I was just the woman asking questions he didn't want to answer. And the one line I kept hearing in my head, over and over again like a broken record. I locked him out, but I was the one being shut out first. I used to think the worst part of betrayal was the lying, but it's not. It's the gaslighting, the way they make you question your own instincts, the way they stare you in the face, and make you feel insane for seeing the truth. It started small. A call from my manager. Hey, just wanted to check in. Everything okay on your end? Yeah, I said, confused. Why? We got a few calls. Anonymous. Said you've been having emotional episodes. That maybe you're not in the right headspace to work right now. I blinked. Excuse me? They claimed to be a concerned friend. Said you've been unstable since your husband left you. I froze. I'm married, I said slowly. My husband hasn't left me. My manager was silent for a beat. Oh, right. Okay, I figured it was weird. Just thought I should let you know. I hung up, sat on the edge of my bed for 10 straight minutes, just staring at the floor. The next day, I got an email from someone named Honest Truth 78. The subject line was blank. Inside, you're not the victim here. You pushed him away. I deleted it. The day after that, a DM from a burner Instagram account. It's sad, really. He tried to be happy with you, but you couldn't let go of your insecurities. Then another. You always act like the victim. He deserves peace. I didn't need a name. I didn't need proof. It was her. The way she worded things. The tone. The smug, superior undercurrent pretending to sound like concern. It was Angela. I told him that night, not even to accuse him, but to give him a chance to be on my side. There's someone pretending to be a concerned friend, I said. Calling my job, messaging me. I think it's her. He looked up from his phone, barely reacting. You sure? Who else would do that? He shrugged. I don't know. Maybe someone just trying to stir drama. Someone who knows what happened. Someone who knows details only you and she would know. Still, nothing. I asked, have you been talking to her again? He paused. That microsecond of hesitation that told me everything before he even opened his mouth. We met once, he finally said. Just for coffee. I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd freak out. I stared at him. You lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you. That's literally what lying is. He leaned back, like I was the one making things difficult. She said she wanted closure. She's going through stuff. I just wanted to be kind. And you thought lying to your wife was kind? She's not well, okay? She's unwell. I didn't want to trigger her. I laughed, out loud, because the irony was disgusting. You didn't want to trigger her, but you were fine letting me question my sanity? He didn't answer, just walked away like that was the end of the conversation. But it wasn't, because the next day, I found the lipstick. It was on the collar of his white button-down, the one he hadn't worn in weeks. I was doing laundry, and when I lifted it from the basket, there it was, a faint smear. Pink, not coral, not nude, pink. I don't wear pink lipstick, ever, not my color. I held the shirt like it was a crime scene. I walked into the living room and held it up like evidence. He looked at it, blinked, then had the audacity to say, maybe it's yours. It's not. It could be old. It's not. Then he tried to flip it back on me. Why are you snooping through my stuff? I laughed again. Because, of course, now I'm the problem. Not the cheating, not the lying, not the lipstick that didn't magically appear by itself. Do you even hear yourself? He said nothing. I asked him the one question that had been burning in my throat since the moment all of this started. How long have you been trying to make me look crazy? He opened his mouth, closed it, and then just shook his head. You need to calm down. There it was. The final trigger. The one phrase that snaps every woman who's ever been made to feel like a joke in her own story. I turned around and walked away. No yelling, no slamming doors, just silence. Because I was done begging him to understand. Done hoping he'd come to his senses. I didn't pack to leave forever. I didn't even pack much. Just a bag. Some clothes, my journal, my charger. I wasn't running away. I was trying to breathe. Trying to remember who I was before anonymous messages told me I was hysterical. Before my husband smiled at another woman's pain like it was a secret they shared. As I zipped up the bag, I stared at our wedding photo on the shelf. We looked so happy. And maybe back then we were. But now, I was living in a house where love had been replaced with gaslighting, where the truth was buried under silence, where the lipstick on his collar said more than he ever would. He didn't ask where I was going when I walked out the door. He didn't stop me, didn't follow, just stayed on the couch, scrolling. Like I was just another app he could close when it got too loud. I didn't tell anyone at first, not even my parents. I just showed up at their door, bag slung over my shoulder, and said, "Can I stay a few days?" My mom didn't ask questions. She just moved aside and let me in. I walked straight into my old room, the one with the pale yellow walls and the posters I never bothered taking down, and sat on the edge of the bed like I was 17 again. The silence in that house felt different. Safe, in a way, but also too quiet, too soft. The kind of quiet that makes your thoughts echo until you want to scream just to hear something break. He started calling that night. Missed call, voicemail, text. I'm sorry, please come home. I didn't mean to hurt you. I stared at the screen like it belonged to someone else. I didn't reply. He didn't stop. The next morning, my mom said there were flowers outside the front door. A big bouquet. My favorite, white lilies. But all I saw was the apology in the petals. Not love, guilt. Later that day, a box showed up. Inside was a necklace, silver. My initials carved into a tiny heart. I didn't even open the card, because I already knew what it would say. I miss you. I made a mistake. I want to fix this. And maybe at one point in my life, those words would have cracked me open, would have made me cry and run back into his arms. But now, they just felt like background noise. A chorus of too little, too late. By day 3, the calls slowed down. But that didn't stop his family. His mom called me, soft-voiced and cautious, like she was walking on glass. I know he messed up, but he's not a bad person. I stayed quiet. His sister DM'd me. He's devastated. He hasn't slept. He just needs time. His cousin sent a voice note. He made a dumb choice, but don't throw away everything over this. I almost laughed. Throw everything away? What exactly were they asking me to hold on to? The anxiety? The lies? The constant feeling like I was competing for my own husband's attention? There wasn't anything left to protect. That night, lying awake in my childhood bed, I stared at the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to the ceiling, the same ones I used to make wishes under. Back then, I wished for simple things. To pass exams, to fall in love, to have a forever that felt safe. Now, I just wished for silence. I rolled over, trying to sleep. My phone buzzed again. It was Instagram. Angela's story. I clicked on it without thinking. Pure reflex, like some part of me still needed to know what she'd say next. Black background, white font. You can't lose what was never yours. I felt it in my teeth. It wasn't just a jab, it was direct. Like she wanted me to see it. Like she wanted me to know she'd won. And maybe she had. But what exactly did she win? A man who couldn't choose. A man who folded the second someone else gave him attention. A man who called being a good person an excuse for betrayal. I stared at that story for a long time. Then I blocked her and him. No more calls, no more gifts, no more, please don't give up on us. Because he already did. 2 nights later, I woke up to pounding on the front door. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. Followed by a slurred, babe, please can we talk? I sat up in bed, checked the time. 2:17 a.m. Of course, I walked to the living room slowly. Heart calm, not racing, just tired. My dad was already at the door, half awake, angry. I'll handle it, I told him. I opened the door, and there he was, standing in the porch light like a ghost, eyes bloodshot, reeking of cologne and something sharper underneath. Alcohol, sweat, perfume that didn't belong to me. He tried to smile. I messed up. I didn't say anything. I miss you. I haven't been sleeping. I haven't been eating. He hiccuped, swaying slightly. I made everything worse, didn't I? Still, I said nothing. He stepped forward. But I want to start fresh. Clean slate. We can fix this. His words spilled out like wine on a white shirt. Sloppy, staining, irreversible. I love you, he said, like it was a spell that could fix everything. But it didn't sound like love anymore. It sounded like fear, like desperation, like someone who didn't miss me, just missed the version of himself that I used to believe in. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw someone I no longer recognized. This wasn't the man I married. This was someone else. Someone who needed attention more than loyalty. Someone who let a woman he claimed was just a friend destroy the trust we'd built. I took a deep breath, and I said the one thing I'd been holding in for weeks. I hope she was worth every time you made me feel invisible. His mouth opened like he wanted to protest, to explain, to grovel, but I didn't give him the chance. I shut the door, softly. Not a slam, not a scene, just closure. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not healing, not clarity, but peace. The kind that comes when you stop waiting for someone to become who you needed, and finally start becoming that for yourself. Everyone keeps asking if I've filed yet, as if it's that simple, like it's just paperwork. A checkbox on a to-do list. Buy groceries, do laundry. End your marriage, but it's not. It's not about court dates or signatures. It's about the way I don't flinch at the sound of the door anymore. The way I sleep without clenching. My jaw. The way I finally exhale all the air I didn't know I was holding. I haven't filed yet. Not because I'm waiting for him to come back, but because I'm trying to come back to myself first. That's harder than I thought it would be. Some mornings I wake up and think, maybe we could fix it. Maybe if we just talked. Started over. Maybe if he changed. But then I remember the way he looked at me the night he defended her. The calmness. The dismissal. The way he called her lost. And called me dramatic. I wasn't crazy. I was hurting. And instead of holding that with me, he handed it to her like a gift. So no, I'm not racing to file. But I'm not going back either. Right now, I'm in the in-between. The strange space between married and done. Where everything feels temporary and fragile. Where healing doesn't feel like victory. It feels like survival. I started going to therapy. I didn't tell anyone. Just booked a session one night when I couldn't sleep and felt the walls closing in. The therapist asked me to describe myself without using anyone else's name. I didn't know how to answer. So now I'm figuring that out. I journal. Mostly messy, half-finished thoughts and questions I don't want to say out loud. Things like, when did I start putting him first even when it hurt? Was I ever really happy or just attached? What would I want if I wasn't scared? I watch old movies, ones I loved before us. Before everything got so heavy. I make popcorn the way I used to. Stovetop with too much butter. I cry during the credits, not because the movies are sad, but because I forgot what it felt like to be my own company. I've started feeding myself again too. Not just meals, but care. I make tea in the morning. Light a candle at night. I do little things that remind my body I'm still here. Still worthy. Still whole. And every once in a while my phone pings. His name. Please don't give up on us. I know I messed up, but I still love you. I'll do better. Just tell me what to fix. But it's not about fixing anymore. It's about the parts of me he broke while convincing me it was love. I delete the messages. Not out of anger. Out of peace. Because I don't owe him another chance just because he finally noticed the silence. One night, I couldn't sleep. So I opened the voice memo app. And I said everything I'd been holding in for weeks. I loved you more than I loved myself. That's the problem I'm fixing now. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just said it. Soft, honest, tired. I didn't send it, but I kept it. Because that voice, that version of me, she's finally starting to sound like someone I recognize. And today I went to see an apartment. It was small, kinda cramped, the kitchen window sticks, but the second I walked in, I could breathe. No ghosts, no lipstick-stained collars, no second guessing if I was enough, just blank walls and the hum of possibility. At the leasing office, the woman handed me a clipboard. "Write your name here," she said, and for a second my hand shook. Not because I was scared of being alone, but because for the first time I wasn't. I had myself. So I picked up the pen, wrote my name, no husband, no +1, no apologies, just me, alone, strong, unsure, but finally unfree.